Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So what else do you remember about growing up in southern Alberta? And
Well, I just remember it was darn cold. And we were poor. Lived on the farm. And, you know, it was only an 80-acre farm and trying to raise 8 kids on 80 acres. So my dad went to selling life insurance. And he did that. My mother would drive him around the country because he had a heart attack at about 56, and then he died at 60. So,
nice.
We had a hard time. We didn't know we were poor, though. We had plenty to eat.
Yeah, well, now what did you grow on the farm?
It was a
Wheat?
Diversified beets, sugar beets, and hay. And a little wheat, but an 80-acre farm, you know, isn't very big. And
But you were always active in the church?
yeah. Yeah, we were. We lived out on a ranch that Ralph Thrall and McIntyre.
Oh, Ralph Thrall, I remember him.
Yeah.
He wasn't a woman.
No, but Nor McIntyre owned the ranch, and Ralph Thrall was the bookkeeper, and so my dad ran that for him for quite a few years. So while we lived in Tabor, my dad would go out to the sheep ranch, back and forth about 20 miles out of Vauxhall, and that was a hard time for him. But that was the way they had to make a living.
Now, where did you meet your husband?
In Tabor. He was in Barnwell. Their farm was about 4 miles away.
He was a real cowboy.
Yeah,
He was a cowboy, yeah.
He was a real cowboy. I never forgot it.
And then, how did you end up in Santa Barbara?
Well, after the... Oh, I hope that is a can that doesn't pull on me when you take it off.
I'm gonna put this on, and then the nurse is gonna come back
Oh my.
and check on it.
Okay. They're afraid I'll bleed to death. I keep on that. Thank you.
What's on? It's like
Sticking to you.
all right.
Sticking.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So how did you get to Santa Barbara?
Oh, after the war, let's see, 1945, the war ended, and that winter, Roe brought his parents, Byron McMullin and Aunt Mary, down to Spokane to Bryant's sister's funeral. And Roe just fell in love with Spokane. The weather was nice, and some of his cousins lived there. So he came back and he said, "We're getting rid of this farm, we're moving." And I said, "No, we're not." And I would sign the papers to put it up for sale. I remember the guy came out to put it up for sale, and Roe wasn't home, and I said, "This is not for sale." So he went away, but he came back later. Anyway, we moved, and that's how we got there.
Well, that was Spokane? Well, how'd you get from Spokane to Santa Barbara?
Well, a lot of ways. Roe would go on big ranches to manage them, and that's how we went from Santa Barbara down to Connell, Washington, and then we went to Rexburg one year, and then we went back into the Santa Barbara area in 1960s, and I said that was it, no more moving.
And we're certainly glad you didn't.
In the meantime, I had been bored on the ranches, and so I started to go to school, and I got my degree and finished up in Spokane, and then we moved and stayed put for over 40 years.
Well, you picked one of the nicest places in the world.
I know. And he kept wanting to go to Solvang, and I liked it, but I was tired of moving.
Do you remember Bus and Beth Bruno?
Oh, yeah.
They're both gone now.
Yeah, I know. He just died a while
And he was
ago.
here in St. George.
I never did get to see him because I barely moved here when he died. But he was full of stories,
Wasn't he?
right up until the end.
Some of them were actually true.
Never met a stranger. Never met a stranger.
No, he's a great guy. Never joined the church.
No,
Well, maybe he has.
I don't know if they've
Done his work.
If
Oh, I
they-
think George went down and got his work done pretty quick.
You know, Beth wanted him to join the church so bad.
Oh, I know. She
So
was
stubborn.
so good.
So
If you know Ruth, I sang at Beth's funeral. I sang Going Home. Remember the song Going Home? My dad used to sing that. Going home, going home. And I sang it at his funeral.
Did you?
Yeah. Who's the guy that...
You also sang.
Yeah. Do you remember Max Blaylock?
Yeah, he sang at Max.
So we're at Beth's funeral. And we're sitting right behind Max and his wife.
Mary.
And Mary, yeah. And I went up and sang Going Home. And I came back, and he was quite emotional. He'd been, you know, it had touched him. And he turned around to me, and he said, I want you to sing that at my funeral.
Oh,
Or I want you to sing at my funeral. And I said, well, Max, if you die before me, I'll sing at your funeral. And he laughed and he said, well, I'll guarantee I'll die before you. And I said, well, okay, I'll sing at your funeral, but that's going to be a long, long time. And he said, well, Brother Elton, you never know. And what was it, 2 months later?
No, it was within
Went
a
in
year.
a hurry.
Yeah, he was down at the temple and fell and hit his head and died, and I went and sang at his funeral.
see, he was on Coumadin, and he bled to death, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, Dalt, he used to sing Going Home to everybody's funeral.
I know.
And so everyone said to him, Dalt, who's going to sing Going Home at your funeral? So when he had his celebration of life, when it was all over with, Byron, John was conducting, he said, my dad asked everybody, said everybody was wondering who'd sing Going Home at his funeral. So he did.
So he'd recorded himself singing Going Home at his own funeral.
did.
And then at the very end he said, it was very funny, because you know the very last part of the song goes, going home. And that's how it ends. On this one, and he's playing it in front of everybody, right? That's at his funeral.
Yeah.
And he says, going home.
Kidding.
And then he says, well, on a note like that, I guess it's time to get out of here.
Oh, my.
He said, now, I don't know where I'm going or in which direction, but I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. And he said, Dalt Elton led a great life. Don't sing any sad songs for me.
Oh, that's great.
But we did sing a song called Sing No Sad Songs for Me.
And Kim wrote that.
Yeah, Kim wrote the music, and then we all wrote part of the lyrics, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, see if I can remember mine. Oh, okay, so you'll like this. So Kim wrote the music, and the chorus was,
Kim is Byron's
sing
brother.
no sad songs for me, sing about hope and love and simple harmony, sing the melodies of life, and when you think of me, boys, remember me in song, let my music set you free, and sing no sad songs for me. And then what he did was he said, now each of the boys write a verse from what you remember about Dad, but write it as if it were him speaking. And I don't know if I can remember mine exactly, but mine was, now this is my dad, and this is a true story. He told me this story. I remember many years ago, my mother said to me, now Dalton, look me in the eye and listen carefully. I met a lovely girl today, a beauty you'll agree. Her name is Irene Tanner, and you'll be with her for time and all eternity.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that good?
Well, what had happened is they had moved to Lethbridge, And Gwen was the head of the Relief Society, or she did something with the Relief. She was the visiting committee. Had gone over to not Gwen, but Afton, and she'd gone over to welcome them to Lethbridge, and met Mom. Mom was 13 years old, and he came back, and she said, "Dalton," and he said, and when she called me Dalton, I knew it was serious, and he said, "Have I ever met the girl for you?" And he said, "Oh, okay," and he said, "No, I'm serious. Irene Tanner, she's the girl for you." And they started dating after, and were together for over 60 years.
He was so obedient, he babies.
That's right.
He said, "Oh, okay."
Oh, phew.
Not a great story?
Yes, you're full of stories.
Well, that one actually is true.
Oh, how's your new business? Okay.
It's doing well. Yeah, Carla works with me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
She told me.
Yeah,
that.
we're doing well. We're doing a good thing, and it deserves to be successful, and I think it will be.
And your son is in what grade?
BJ, Byron, you know, his full name is Byron Joseph Smith, Elton. He's a junior in high school.
Junior.
He'll be a senior next year, and then he goes on his mission.
Oh boy.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
Baby when
I
he
can't
came to
believe
Santa
it.
Barbara. He was a year old when we came.
Well, should we stop it here? You got anything else? Any other memories that of Alberta? I'll come back in 2 or 3 years and we'll finish it up.
Oh, honey child. Honey child. You'll be back all right. You'll drive through and you'll say, "That's where Ruth used to live." I hope.
And then we'll say, "That's where Ruth used to live. And now she's on a mission in
Yeah.
Uganda."
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't want to go to Uganda. Do you?
If the Lord wants me to go to Uganda, I'll go to Uganda. As long as I get to take Linda with me.
Thank you. Oh, you don't want to go to Uganda? Oh dear.